Good morning, everyone. As you start coming on in, welcome to Sick of This Shit Publications. I'm Nick Perro, not your dad, joined by my good friend Walter Ryan, protector of Labradors, both our good friend Margaret Williams, the empowered leader, and by someone new to me, but I believe friends to our other two, Dr. Melissa Bird. Melissa, welcome. Margaret, welcome. Walter, welcome.
Thank you so
How
much.
is everyone? I'll start from Melissa, going on to Margaret, to Walter. How are you all today?
I feel a little bit emotionally hungover because I had my primary for my congressional race last Tuesday. And while I didn't win, I still got more votes than anyone who's ever run against the incumbent. And votes are still coming in, but I'm feeling very emotional.
Emotional's okay. Emotional's good. Okay, so before we get further, I have to ask, because I wasn't following too carefully with your race, was where were you running and how did the primary end up? I know you just said you didn't win, but what did you end up getting for votes and how does that feel? First, congratulations for running and stepping up.
Thank you. I ran in Oregon's Congressional District 4. Which is the second largest district in Oregon. I live in Corvallis. As of last time I checked, I was almost at 21,000 votes. So we got 21% of the vote so far.
Awesome. That's fantastic.
Final. So, oh yeah, it's huge.
And this is your first time running?
Yeah.
Are you going to run again?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Oh, good. Yes. Oh, yeah. Repeat candidates tend to be the best. Repeat primary candidates and repeat candidates tend to be the best. Yep. Thank you for running.
Yeah, of course.
And welcome. Thank you for being here with us too. Excited to have you.
Me too.
Margaret, how are you today?
I'm awesome. I am feeling joy today, okay? Yes. So I am Margaret Williams. I help women who have been marginalized elevate their voices, stop surviving power systems, and start leading with freedom, influence, and authority. And I want to thank you for this opportunity today. Thank you so much.
Margaret, you're so amazing. I love you.
You too.
Thank you. You are really, I love that you have the Empowered Leader as your publication, because every time you come on, it's like talking to Walter as a second person. And like Walter's one of my favorite people to talk to, so like I hope that's a compliment for you.
It is.
Yeah, I hope so too.
And Walter, good morning, my friend. How are you?
Good morning. Oh, I'm just so excited. I kind of got rushed into the end because I'm so excited to have Melissa here, and just it's so important. Win or lose those primaries, from the beginning we've been saying this is ongoing, and I just love having you here, and I love the effort you put. I've got just a million questions about how it went, and all of this about like the continuing vote count, because so often the news just like, here's the vote count, and then we see the count changing, and it's really hard to find, because I try to go find that information. It's like, what's happening now with all the new things that are coming in? And I just really dislike how our whole system is set up, where it's like, well, here's the result, let's move on. And it's as if we're supposed to forget about everything. And it's like, no, there's ongoing elections. There's more. And this is a long-term commitment I've made to Dr. Melissa Bird to help her out with everything, because I think you're fantastic. All the help that we can give in this moment, because this is our country. We need people like Dr. Melissa Bird in office. And I'm just so happy you're here. And I'm just excited. And we always said, win or lose, this is exciting. So thank you for being here. Let's celebrate.
Yes.
Thanks, Walter.
This is a win. This is a win.
Yes.
And yes, yeah. I mean, getting to talk to all these candidates and seeing people run, and the energy that people are having and what it is going to do, because we have to push politics by actually getting into politics. And the only way you get in is by running or
the dogs.
Apparently my dogs are unhappy about this. They're not happy that you lost, Melissa, so I'm sorry. There's probably somebody mowing in the backyard because I hate anytime a mower
dogs.
goes off, my dogs just go so mad. They're so mad. It's either a mower or a bird, and they're just pissed off about it. The dog bells are going off. Yeah, the pups are protesting that you.
I appreciate it. I'm so happy for it all day.
Good. And yeah, I'm so glad we've gotten to do all of this, Walter. I'm glad we've come together. You and I got to meet almost a year ago now.
Yeah.
And that we started doing all of this, and we've gotten to meet people like Dr. Bird and Melissa and all the other candidates running. And let's go have a great talk today about pushing forward. Because it fits perfectly with what's happened for you, Melissa, over this past week. Is you lost your primary, but you're going to push forward. And so what does that look like? And what are some of the lessons that you have learned from this primary that you think could be useful to people running right now?
Yes.
So many thoughts. Well, so I'm descendant, I'm Native American. I'm a descendant of the Chivwits Band of Southern Paiutes, and I feel like pushing forward is in my blood, right? Like, it's what we do. It's what we've been doing for hundreds of years. And this race, so I didn't run for me, right? I think a lot of time people run for office because it's the next step in some sort of a trajectory, a political trajectory that they've taken, to become leaders or whatever it is that they're doing in the world. And I have a political career, but my career is, I'm a social worker. So my career is in advocacy and community organizing. And so my whole life has been built around building community. And so for me, running for Congress was not just about me wanting to, unseat the incumbent, who I don't think is representing our district well. But for me, it was also about creating community and hearing, part of the reason I ran is because I didn't feel like anybody cared about what was happening in our family and in our lives, right? And so there were so many things that came into play that led me, I've always wanted to run for office. I was joking on the campaign trail that when I was a little kid and my friends were nurses and teachers, I was the president and I had an Oval Office, and I was also a mom. So I had my baby dolls and I was the president. And so I've always wanted to run for office. I'd been asked several times, and this was just my moment, and it was my moment to do something. And what we built, it makes me very emotional, so you're going to get me crying a lot, Nick. What we built was huge.
Yes.
So I think everyone should know that you can run for office, but when you're running for office at this level of Congress, if we are going to truly disrupt capitalism, create a democracy not built on white supremacy, and dismantle racism, sexism, all the isms, right? If we're going to really create a world, our tagline was a better life for all. And if we're going to really create a better life for all, then when we choose to run in a primary, especially, we have to have the knowledge of the power structure to infiltrate its membrane. And I call that the graceful revolution, like to really enter into these spaces with the knowledge of how it works, understand how it works, and then use the power structure to actually infiltrate its membrane. And I feel like it's like a piece of sand in an oyster that, to irritate it, right? And all along this process, of course, I got the tip, well, have you ever run for office before? And I literally had people say to me, how dare you run for Congress? And I'm like, how dare I not, in the face of fascism and authoritarian dictatorship? How dare I not take the lessons I learned as the lobbyist for Planned Parenthood of Utah, and as a mom, and as someone who taught social workers, social justice advocacy and policy for years, How dare I not run for office at this moment when we need people in Congress who are actually going to push back against this dictatorship and against what's happening in Congress? And so what I learned on this trail is how much people wanted someone who actually cared enough to show up at the door. I would deliver lawn signs and people would weep. They would just cry and say, "Why are you here?" And I'm like, "Because I'm literally running for Congress. That's my job. It's my job to show up and be present for this district." And the other thing I learned is that people are terrified of change. And so what I learned from the vote is that it's almost like the people don't do their research of the candidates, and I don't know how to make that more accessible, but I'm really thinking about it. And then just vote for the incumbent because it's what they know. And people are afraid of what's happening in our economy, in our communities, and against the people that we love, but they're also terrified of change. And even though I represented this deep commitment to listening, hearing, and thinking about policies that would actually impact the community in a really beautiful and positive way, they still gave, about 75%-ish of the vote to the incumbent, even though the incumbent, it does not have our best interests at heart. And I think the other thing, and then I'll stop, but the other big, huge thing I learned is that you only need millions of dollars to run for Congress if you are bought and sold by corporations. You probably need somewhere in between 100,000 and 500,000, depending on the district, to run for Congress. That is true. You need money to run for Congress. There's a lot of expenses that have to do with running for Congress. But what you don't need millions of dollars if you're not being bought and sold by corporations. And our campaign proved that. We raised almost, we raised over $75,000. And that is huge from over 800 donations. So.
Oh, Dr. Bird, it's so fantastic. And your emotion is so welcome here, and I appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. And I know Nick and we've shared a lot of tears on this program. And I've shared a lot of tears with myself, just lately this last couple of years, and we just have to do that. And I just, I'm going to be doing more. Your primary just happened. The primary in this state is in August. So I was just telling Nick, I'm going to be doing more with Emily Bergey's campaign. I've been bringing her on, and I'm feeling this need to transition, because I'm just realizing how much our cell phones are toxic and how social media is toxic, and it's just, it's, you find yourself looking at that darn thing, and it's like, you don't even want to. It's like over the weekend, I'm like, how did this get in my hand again? And it's exactly what you said before. It's like people are afraid of change. There's also that horrible reality of media capture. These algorithms are toxic. I mean, all these tech bros that own them, they don't have our best interests in mind. They've dismantled the pandemic response team because I think they want, I think they want something really bad to happen to us. And I mean, people that actually care about their constituents and they go door to door and they talk to people and they want a better world are out there. But it's like and I've been working hard on this problem of how to break through the media capture. And unfortunately, we have to use all these tools that are owned by entities that are they're going to suppress our content. And so, that's why I'm kind of thinking I've got to do more door to door, more face-to-face stuff. So you've inspired me to do that. And you're just emotions. It's just really beautiful. The last time I talked to you, you educated me, and I always appreciate that. And I just have really appreciated knowing that you're out there. It's, filled my heart with joy just knowing you're in this fight, and we're not stopping. And so that's all I have to say, I guess.
Thanks.
I have a couple questions because, working for the military for 39 years, one of the key components of relationship building is trust. So, how many town hall meetings have you conducted with the members of your congressional area? Okay. How many of these questions that people have that you have been able to honestly answer?
Well, we did hundreds of events. So
Okay.
we did coffee meet and greets and house parties and door knocking. Like, you know, we connected with over 40,000 voters, either by phone or at the doors. Plus I would say another 5,000 to 7,000. We didn't keep count of all the events that we did. But I didn't do any formal town halls. A lot of what we did was go to other people's spaces so I could listen to them in their spaces. A lot of watershed meetings, a lot of meetings with people in the community, a lot of people saying, oh, you need to talk to this person, you need to talk to this person, you need to talk to this person. So, because I didn't know what I didn't know. And when we tried to do some bigger events, people just didn't show, and we really didn't have the budget, you know, to rent spaces, to pay for spaces, to like do all those things. And so for me, it was about being in space with other people. So I would go to all the ICE protests on the coast and walk the line and talk to people. I went to a lot of ICE protests, and I'm not going to stop doing that. And I think that's the other thing. You know, I didn't just go to the ICE protests because I was running for Congress. I went to the ICE protests because we have got to abolish ICE. Like,
yes.
ICE is a 500-year-old problem wearing a different uniform.
Yeah.
I mean, it started with my ancestors. So, there's a lot of things that we did in this campaign where I didn't just do it because I was running for Congress, although that was the impetus for many things. I did it because I feel like, and I think this is another thing, you know, I was saying earlier that I feel like I'm emotionally hungover a little bit. I loved running for Congress. It's like, it filled my soul.
Yes.
And I said to a friend of mine yesterday, I said, I had the most fun I've had in decades running for Congress because I got to listen to people, and I made so many new friends all over this district. It's 6 counties. It's huge. It's almost the entire Oregon coast. And not only did I get to see the beauty of this place and be on land that I'd never explored before, but I had so much fun talking to people. And I have been working from home for almost 10 years. And I did not realize how much I missed being in community with other people. And that is the thing that is really, for the last, I know it's only been a week, and I feel kind of like a ball baby, but I want to keep being with people because I didn't realize how much I missed giving people that space to speak. And inspiring people. I'm very funny. I'm very inspiring. I really love talking. I'm a public speaker, like professionally. And so I love that. And I did not realize how much I missed it until all of a sudden I woke up on Wednesday and went, oh my God, I have nowhere to be. It was devastating. And I think we have to talk about that when we talk about people losing their primaries. It's like all of a sudden, the next day, you are doing nothing, like literally nothing. And when you've been going every day is a new day. Every day you're doing something else. Every day you have a new interview. You have these people to reach out to. You've got this event. Like, it's a lot, y'all. It's a lot.
Oh, I'm so appreciative. Go ahead.
So with respect to the community building situation that we're talking about with the town halls, when you run again, then you have much more experience on the things that you maybe were lacking last time, that you can maybe get some local businesses maybe to help to rally with you, maybe have some more, exterior, events and things like that. So I see you down here starting at 0, and when you come up, you're not starting at 0. You're maybe 25 or 50%. So you're much further ahead next time. So
yes,
you're good.
Absolutely. Yes.
Nick, do you have a question? I could keep going, but if you want to jump in there, I'm going to dominate this.
No, I opened it up, so this is great. I am really enjoying listening to this. I used to live in the Washington area in Washington State for 10 years, so I know the Oregon coast a little bit, and it's such a beautiful area. And I was looking up where you are, and the southern. You would have been. You were running to represent the southwestern edge of Oregon. Can you tell me a bit about the incumbent that you ran against and what you're going to be, or can you talk a little about what you're going to do going forward between now and whenever, and the future, to see about how we can push this incumbent that you have in a better direction? And if we can't, what can we do instead?
Well, I think there's a lot of well, we haven't met as a team again yet. We're meeting on Thursday, and so we haven't formalized exactly what the plan is yet. I know we're going to be doing we're going to be looking at campaign finance reform here in Oregon. They had an opportunity to do something about it, and they didn't as a legislature. And so we're going to be looking at that. We're also going to be looking at all of the policy. We kept a running list of all the policy ideas that people wanted to see happen that would have impacted their lives. And we're going to look at how we can think about trying to get some of those things at least started. In the meantime, with folk, just elevating the level of conversation around the things that would really help improve people's lives.
Yes.
And then the incumbents doing a couple of town halls with our Senator Wyden in Brookings and North Bend this week, today and tomorrow. And so we've told people to go and tell her how they feel about her and to continue to be engaged with whatever it is that she's doing, because we have to be deeply, no matter what the vote count ends up being, 20 some odd thousand people need to hold her accountable for her actions. Especially right before, about a week before the election, Axios scooped that she had gotten an independent expenditure from pro AI PAC that's run by the folks from OpenAI and Palantir.
Yeah.
To the tune of almost $300,000, and they were running ads for her. The Think Big PAC, and they were running ads for her. And so in a world where, we just there can be an open rejection of an independent expenditure, and people don't realize that, right? Like they think, oh, it's an independent expenditure, so no one can say anything. And actually, there are ways to push back against those things. So there's a lot of things that I hope the district pushes her on, because it's really important.
Yes.
Campaign finance reform. And I think also helping voters understand that in Oregon, we have a closed primary system. And until the Democratic Party opens the primary, because they have that choice, they can open the primary. 43% of the voters in Oregon are unaffiliated because of our motor voter. So when you get a driver's license, you're automatically registered to vote. And so, but they can't choose your party. And we have a closed primary system here in Oregon, which is not democracy. And we need to open that primary for people to be able to vote, the way they want to.
Yes.
And until they do that, people have to understand, we had a lot of people saying, well, you weren't on my ballot. And I was like, well, are you a registered Democrat? And they were like, no. And I, even though, and this is the other thing too, social media is such a silo, right? We must have said hundreds and hundreds of times, if you want to vote for me, you have to be a registered Democrat. I cannot say how many times we said that. And people still didn't listen. And then we get all these messages, I couldn't vote for you. And I'm like, I know, because you're not a registered Democrat. Like, how many times do you have to say it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anyway.
Well, I guess a real question is there, I mean, for me, that just sounds like we should have open primaries everywhere, and it shouldn't matter what your party affiliation is, because that just seems like the parties are restricting vote access.
And they actually, yes.
Well, they are. And we did the research, and closed primaries mean that nationally 7% of the electorate picks 83% of the people on the ballot.
By design.
Nationwide. So the power is not in the general. The power is in the primary.
And we can't get people to say that. I've been screaming this. I've been screaming this for a year. I've been approaching all these big platforms on Substack. A couple of them are kind of coming around, but this has been so obvious. It's like, if we gave them all the power in 2020 to stop this and they didn't, we need to vote in new people. And then this has been a discovery period where we see the extent to which they have rigged our whole primary system. There's all these different mechanisms they use to erode votes. I do want to say one thing, though. It's like, you've earned the support of your voting base now. And we always see the Democrats, once somebody wins a primary, they become so entitled. Rather than appeal to the people that voted to you, they're like, well, now you have this obligation to come to our side. And it's like, no, now we have a negotiation, because you can't win without my votes. So now you have to listen to me, and you see what my power is. And I know that you're going to use that power, and that power has been entrusted to you. And I just have all the faith in the world that, it's like, this is how this system works. You don't dictate to us just because you're in this position. We get to have a conversation. We get to talk about the things that are important to us, and you're doing that work. And that's the other thing. I just want to celebrate, because all those votes you got are so important. And Nick and I, this year, we've been screaming into the void a lot, but people are listening now. And a lot of the things we're saying now, we couldn't have said 6 months ago. Nobody would have listened to us. So they are listening now. And you've got this bigger stage. Now you've got 20,000 people, or however many it is. And it's going to be more and more every day as they continue to add. And we're talking about the things that are actually important matters. And we're pushing aside that toxic algorithm. And we're getting out the word that people actually want to say. So this is how change happens. It's not going to be overnight.
Question. I want to know about the media coverage.
Yeah, I know.
What media coverage?
You didn't have any?
No. God, no.
Just here. Just us.
We sent hundreds and hundreds of press releases about a cajillion things. I got one tiny little spot. If we're talking mainstream corporate media, I got one tiny little spot right before the election. We did our NPR station KLCC did some great coverage of me. That was awesome. But we had to push really hard for it. And then, like, we had someone come out really early on and announce that he was running in the primary, and someone from Eugene, and he got so much media. And then I had to beg. I had to call the reporters that reported him and ask for coverage and say, listen, there's someone else running in. And I announced months before he did, about a month before he did. And so anyway, and then the weeklies in Eugene and Corvallis endorsed the incumbent, even though they say that they are more liberal and progressive publications.
Yeah.
And that, I was like, wow, like that, no, because the incumbent is not a progressive. She said she is, but she is not. And so the media came from people like you. I did some great podcast interviews. I did some really great stuff on Substack. I connected with like Amy McDonald, who does the Foolish Optimist podcast, and a lot of other people who I did some great podcast interviews and some great Substack interviews and, stuff like this. But I never hit mainstream media, and I try it. It's not for my lack of trying, y'all. Like, we were trying tooth and nail.
Yeah.
We didn't even have anyone come to my when I launched the campaign on August 23rd last year, and not one media outlet came.
Yeah.
And mind you, I am Native. I'm a woman. I am a mom. I'm married to a disabled veteran. I'm working class. I'm part of the LGBT community. Like, I'm a great story.
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
So the other story that they did do, the gentleman that they did have this story on, what other difference between, was there another difference between y'all other than that, say he was a man and you aren't? Was that a big player in the media coverage? Like, was there like a driving factor on why? Like that, I know there's a lot of driving reasons on why they probably didn't choose to cover you, but is there a driving factor on why they chose to cover him?
I have no idea. I mean, he's a white businessman from Eugene.
I think you just
You
said
know.
probably most of the reason why in that very simple statement.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
it's awful.
me. Like, the bonus is he dropped out and endorsed me, so that was awesome.
Oh,
Well, that's fantastic. Well, that's good news.
Yeah, right? Yes.
I think people just don't really grasp how corrupt our media is. Our media is just corrupt. I mean, maybe he bought it. I guess I shouldn't say speculation. I'll say a different thing. My daughter, she knows that I wrote this book about this big ski race in our state. It's called the American Birkebeiner. My daughter was at school and there was some news story. It's like a local author writes book about the Birkie, and then it's like some other guy, and it's just like, and she keeps like, what the heck is this? It's like, why wouldn't they mention you, Dan? Like, welcome to the corrupt media. It's like it doesn't matter how much you do. You know, I've told this story a dozen times. I wrote this article about my kids being harassed for speaking Spanish in public, and I wrote that for the local paper. Got shared 250,000 times all by itself and elevated the SEO ranking of that webpage. And they refused to publish a follow-up story to that.
Right.
And so it's just like, it's not about, everybody's like, they're publishing stuff for profit. It's not about profit. Apparently they're being funded. They're controlling a narrative. They don't want a person like Dr. Melissa Bird getting any attention. So or me, or Nick, or Margaret. And I think if we can convey that to the people watching this, if we can convey that to your voter base, put down the toxic algorithm that only feeds you lies and hate content. And we just have to make that deliberate shift. Again, it's change. And I think what you said is absolutely right. People are afraid of changing, but I'm pretty much afraid to get up out of bed every day ever since this regime came into power. So it's just sort of like the fear's there anyway. I'm going to take the unknown change because I know what we got now. It's terror of every waking second. So maybe bit by bit.
I think what's really important is that voters need to realize that is why they're not hearing about other options, right? Like we're only being fed what the algorithm wants to feed us, and we're only being informed to the extent that a reporter is willing to pick up the story.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why things like this are so important, because as we look forward, like to the point of the title of this conversation, pushing forward, the way we push forward is to really stop and take a big deep breath.
Yes.
And get curious about what's happening in the world around us, right? Like, if you receive your ballot in Oregon on April 29th, open it on April 30th. Look at it. Look at the people and start Googling your face off, right? Or if you don't want to do that, then when the voters pamphlet, the voters pamphlet comes before the ballot, open the voters pamphlet. Look at it. Pay attention to what is written in there. Notice what is missing. Notice what is there, right? Like when we think, and let me just say, endorsements are not God's word. Right. Endorsements are not a reflection of a candidate. They are a reflection of the willingness of the organization to speak to a human. So do not assume that just because someone is not endorsed by your most favorite progressive group on the planet or union or whatever that is, it's because they're a bad person. Because what I learned, and I used to be someone who ran a PAC and a C4, so I have done endorsements. What I learned is that the machine of endorsements, like no one would talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so the members of unions didn't even get the opportunity to vote about me or to learn about me at all. Nobody. And so people need to understand that, right? Like, I would talk to union members and they'd be like, why haven't you been talking to our blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, I tried.
Yeah.
What do you mean you tried? I'm like, well, I tried. And so I also want voters, this is part of what I'm hoping to do in the next, year and a half, is to educate people that just because the Working Families Party hasn't endorsed me yet, doesn't mean I haven't been trying since I started running in July. But also, as we are looking at this political landscape in the United States of America in the year of our Lord 2026, let me just tell y'all, the continued forced capitalism of assuming that a person, their electability, I cannot tell you how quote unquote unelectable I am, that your electability is determined by the millions of dollars you can raise. That is crap. That is total. Can I swear?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's total bullshit. And it's bullshit because I am electable. And I know this because every time I talk to a voter, every single time, they were like, wow, thanks for running. I couldn't believe the number of people that were like, oh my God, you're amazing. I'm going to tell all my friends. And that's what we're seeing reflected in the vote count.
Yes.
And I think the reason I didn't win the primary is not because I'm unelectable. The reason I didn't win the primary is because people are so terrified of change right now because of what's happening at the congressional level and in the administration that they went with the devil they know.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the problem in the whole country. And I've had this. Well, I've had this. I've had this issue too, where people will get, and then there's this strange kind of hostility too, because I'll have people, they're like, Walter, why aren't you interviewing this person or this person? I'm just like, I've sent 10 emails to that person. It's like you got this assumption. It's like, I'm really on the fringe. It's like, I really appreciate all my followers. But sometimes, and it's like, we've all been indoctrinated to just have this hostile kind of response, this kind of assumption of anger. And it's just like, I'm doing everything I can. I need everybody to really understand. Everybody needs to come into this just a little bit more. But it's that media capture, and it's just so unfortunate. It's like these people, anybody who is running, they have a right to media attention, and we have to demand that. And if these publications are not giving that attention, and this includes so many of the bigger platforms on Substack, I get very, very angry with them because they're not out there interviewing. They say they will be angry at the Democrats for taking AIPAC money, but they don't spend an equivalent amount of time elevating the candidates who are not taking AIPAC money. And so if you are not elevating those candidates, it's just performative. What you're doing, you're just taking liberal money on this Substack platform. You're not really helping. And we need to put our energy behind the people that are actually doing the good work. Like Dr. Bird.
And then we find out that the way that they have been evaluating who's taking AIPAC money and not was actually faulty.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
so that doesn't help us who have been using that information on the campaign trail, because then we find out that it's actually not accurate.
Right.
Well, then what the hell are we supposed to do?
Yeah.
And
damned
so
if you
I
do,
guess
damned if you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess this is a good point to ask part of the question of like, what is the how do we as the new media folks in the new media continue to help increase visibility for folks like you? How do we do that? Like from lessons that you've seen in that you had to do in your primaries, because there's so many still ongoing that we can apply these lessons right now. We don't have to wait years down the road. We don't have to wait months. We could do it today and tomorrow, things like that. What's the most helpful thing that we can do as the new media to increase visibility for folks like you?
I think the first thing is, I think
Easy question. I know.
I love
Easiest question of the day.
About it. Yeah.
Thank you for thinking about this, because I want us to be able to do something positive that can actually get people across the finish line in these primaries.
I think once you discover that someone is running in the primary, no matter what phase it's in the calendar.
Yeah.
When you say, well, I never heard about you, I can't believe I'm only just finding out about you. That's with purpose, right? So if it's 3 weeks before an election and you're just barely discovering I'm running and I'm really inspiring and I'm super awesome, there's a reason you haven't heard about me, right? So I heard that a lot. Like, why am I only just finding out about you right now? I should have heard from you months and months ago. And I'm sitting here going, dude, I've been running since July. Like, if you didn't Google search primary, I mean, I was on ballot. The first thing I did was my Ballotopedia page. The very first thing I did to get free media was my Ballotopedia page, because people use Ballotopedia to find out about candidates. Also, I love my Ballotopedia page. So y'all go on there and you look at it. It's amazing. If you want to get some insight, I took so much time and intention in answering those questions, because I knew it was an accessibility point for people. So, and if someone doesn't have a Ballotopedia profile, email their campaign and find out why, because that is low-hanging fruit, y'all. That's like entry-level, free, resource, right? And so try not to criticize your candidate, your primary candidate, when you learn about them. Also, because we're just doing our best out here, right? And we don't have big budgets. We don't have millions of dollars to do ads. And we don't have, you know what I mean? Like I think that it's really important for people to realize that running a campaign is there are little expenses, like, paying for the website and paying for the treasurer and paying for this and paying for that, right? You just don't know until you're in it what it is. Laws and sausages. We don't want to know how they're made. Well, you don't really want to know what happens in the campaign in the back room either. So, and also you can still follow me on social media. I'm still going to be actively talking about how we can engage in community building on my social media.
Yes.
And I think it's really important for people to ask questions of people who are running for office constantly. Every time someone would email me, I would respond. People were blown away to find out that the campaign phone number was actually to my phone, right? Like, people could call me directly and ask me questions. So for candidates, I think it's important for us to be deeply accessible, because part of the problem is that our elected officials are so inaccessible. And question the people that are running. Ask the hard questions. Ask the hard questions of why, and don't assume that I'm running for office because I'm mean or I'm cruel or, I can't tell you the number of times people said to me, well, what do you have why do you hate the incumbent? And I was like, I don't hate her. I just think I can go in there and do a job that we need. Like, as someone who is paying rent, as someone who is paying utilities, as someone who is trying to buy groceries for a 15-year-old basketball player. Let me just tell you how expensive that is.
Yeah, I know.
Run a business in this economy, and my husband works on contract. He doesn't get insurance because his job was rescinded by order of the president in 2025. Okay, like, try not to, like, I know what's happening in this world, and try not to be so critical. And I think this goes back to what you were saying, Walter. Like, we are trained to be in this either or binary thinking. And that is not how the world works. So allow the grace of people who are running to ask them questions. Why are you doing this? What is motivating you? How can I help you?
So much that we're saying is everything I do from the media side. And I mean, we came together because, I'm working to see the corruption in the media. And then I've met so many wonderful candidates, and they've, it's like we climb the mountain from other sides and we compare the view on the way up. That's what I keep saying. But so much of what I try to do is just challenge these assumptions that people have that have been indoctrinated into them. And I say a lot of things that are designed to be provocative, and that they're designed to make people angry, because first of all, anger is the first way you can get attention. I wasn't getting any response from any of the big platforms when I'm like, please interview these candidates, until I started saying, unless you do it, unless I started getting hostile. And then they're like, why are you so hostile? It's like, because you ignored me the 30 times I was nice. But at the same time, it's like so much of it is we can be frustrated. I keep telling people, don't be frustrated with the voters, because our voters they've got that social media capture, and they, like every dialogue, like we don't understand the extent to which we've turned over our thinking to nefarious powers. Like the way our kids literally think, they're taught to think these days. They've been brainwashed. It's algorithms tell them what to think. They don't even know where to look on their own anymore. It's really terrifying what we're going through right now. We share human-made art. The other day, it was your weirdo friend. They posted just about the AI content. And so I posted the picture my daughter drew. It's like, here's something. And I do that. In this screen here, pictures my daughter drew. It's like, we need stuff that human beings made. And I think we are reaching that moment of critical mass where people are fed up with these pre-packaged talking points. Like they just assume. It's like, because I've had to just fight with people about the idea of primaries. It's like, a primary is healthy.
When you assume, it just makes an ass out of you and me.
Yes. But it's like, and I've been telling people the primary process is healthy. It doesn't mean you hate anybody. We're out activating the whole voter base. It's like you have to reframe that whole argument, because the establishment doesn't want these primaries, and that's a bad strategy. But yes, almost every productive idea, there's already been an indoctrinated anger response on everything. So that's why there's so much work for us to do. Go ahead, Nick. You had something to say.
Oh, I was going to say, I use that phrase. I use that saying at home too, for assume makes an ass out of you and me. And my son hates it, because it's so true, though, every time you make an assumption like that, you end up making an ass out of yourself.
Well, and a lot of times you're deferring to something you've been indoctrinated to believe is true, and you haven't examined. It's like, I'm just asking for the data to prove this thing that we've assumed. And just getting over that hump, it's challenging. Everybody needs to take physics.
And we keep asking for candidates. Like, I hear this so much among progressive people, right? Like, and I say that in quotes with purpose, right? Like, we need more queer people. We need more women of color. We need more this. We need more that. We need more people who know what it's like to be living in this economy.
Yes.
Hello. I present myself to you, and all I get is, you're not electable.
Right.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Because I bet if you started telling people I was electable, I would be.
Yeah.
Because people believe what they hear, right?
Yeah.
People believe what they hear from trusted organizations. So if trusted organizations say, we love this candidate, we are putting our heart and soul behind this candidate, I can honestly say Progressive Democrats of America did this so well with me. They did everything. They endorsed me. I had to work for that endorsement, but they endorsed me. And when they did, the things that they did for me, because they believed in me, it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. And that's what I think people need to understand. Like we have to change the way electability is based on a white supremacist capitalist notion.
Yes.
That the only electable people are wealthy. That is why we don't have working class folks in Congress. In any, we have them more at the local level of elections, but this is expensive and time consuming. There are not, unless we get support from outside resources, there are not people. Only the Atlantic did pulled some data over a 10-year time period. They looked at 730 something members of Congress over a 10-year time period. Only 13 of them had ever experienced poverty or come from the working class. 13 out of over 700 members. And they're making decisions for all of us, every single one of us here on this and listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
They're making decisions for all of us without even knowing what it is like to pay the power bill when the power bill keeps going up because we are funding these data centers that are ruining our planet.
Yeah.
They don't know what that's like.
I was going to ask earlier, you bringing back up data centers, is you're in an area that's probably is being hit really hard already by creation of data centers.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like your incumbent isn't going to do shit about that to help regulate at a federal level, because they just got, and they were endorsed by or have PAC money being flowing towards them for their election campaign from the folks who want these data centers.
Mm-hmm.
What are you recommending the constituents that voted for you, or who maybe didn't even know about you at the time, but you're still gonna say go door to door and meet, even though the primary is over, and however you're moving forward in that step?
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to talk with them about that, and like the data centers, because that is a huge issue everywhere across the country right now?
Well, I think we have.
How are you going to talk to them about it?
We have to mobilize our city and county elected officials to urge them to not accept the permitting for data centers throughout this district, right? So we have to insist that the people who live in areas where they're trying to put a data center in fight it with city and county council folks, right? Like if we activate and push hard enough, we saw this with the ICE. They were trying to build an ICE facility on the coast, and everybody came together and pushed against it. And the city councils in that area said, absolutely not on our watch will we be allowing this to happen here in our county. And so I think the very first thing for people to realize when it comes to, and we've seen this successfully throughout the country, is that if we, and the incumbent's excuse is we have to have a seat at the table. No, we don't. The incumbent sat on the Doge caucus because we needed a seat at the table. No, we don't. We need to destroy the table, burn it down, and get a new table. Right? We need to flip the table.
Yes.
And we need to create a table that is not based on killing our planet, literally killing our planet. And I think that the people who are in this district, there's enough of us to mobilize our city and county council folks to ask them to not allow the building permits to go through on these facilities. That is an action that is local and community based and can be taken throughout the district. And I think that I think we have to Google search enough to look at what these data centers are doing in other places. I mean, that is why the one in Utah got stalled, right? And as a Utah, I was born and raised in Utah, but I'm okay. Just kidding. As a Utah kid, I was watching that really closely, and the reason it failed is because enough people stood up and said, no, you can't. And that valley where they were going to put that data center, it is such a beautiful, God, it is so beautiful there in the Cache Valley. It is just stunning there. And so we have to engage enough of our supporters to push back. And we've done that. Like we've seen this work, and also working with other organizations, right? So a lot of the organizations that have risen since the last presidential election, the Indivisibles and all these other incredible activist groups, the mutual aid groups, the folks who are really coming together in community. How do we work alongside them and with them to elevate these actions that we can take with our elected officials? How are we teaching people? I used to teach this, and my campaign manager, Bree, we developed a whole entire thing together where I used to teach people how to talk to their elected officials. And one thing I will say to all of you is, if you have recently moved, anytime you move, you've registered to vote for sure. But also, email your elected officials from the city level all the way up to the federal level and introduce yourself. And it's easy to find them. You just Google search, who are my elected officials? And this magical page comes up and it tells you all of them based on your address. And you can do that around the country. And then you introduce yourself to your elected officials. You say, I am in the subject line. You say, I am your constituent. I'm introducing myself. My family and I just moved here. This is who we are. These are the top 3 things that are the most important to me right now. And I would love to meet you. You can expect to hear from me on issues that are controversial or not controversial. I will be coming to you if I think you have a policy solution to my problems. I mean, and because I have done that, every time I've moved, I've done that. So when something has come up, like my daughter was being bullied at her high school because she was the new kid, right? Well, I went to my elected official and said, there's some really horrifying things happening with social media. What can we do to protect our kids? And she wrote a bill and passed a bill to protect kids in schools because she knew who I was. Because so few elected officials hear from their constituents in a good way. They only hear from us when we're pissed. Imagine what could happen if we talk to our elected officials like they put their pants on one leg at a time, just like the rest of us. When we're happy, when we're pleased, when we've just moved and we're on this new adventure, and we want them to know who we are and that they can, I'd love to go to coffee with you when you're in town, kind of a thing. It changes that dialogue, and then it changes our accessibility because elected officials work for us, not the corporations. And the only reason they are answering to corporations more than they're answering to us is because they have forgotten that. And until we overturn Citizens United, we have to start looking at electing people who are refusing to take corporate money, because my voters come first. They don't come last.
Beautiful.
So I got to speak with Walter, and I had both gotten to speak with previously. She ran for the Oregon gubernatorial race, Brittany Jones, and she had spoken about tribal law and the use of tribal law for data centers. And I've brought it up a couple times. And I also live in an area that is heavily tribal and has heavy influences of First Nations people, because I live in Northwest Arkansas. I live right near the Cherokee Nation. Like, that is literally down the road from us. I could drive to the Cherokee Nation, and I drive through it all the time. But we never talk about tribal law or treaty law, and the use of treaty law to at least slow down these efforts and put a stall and force like environmental studies to be done, and enforce impact studies to be done, and force notification studies and all sorts of different things to be done. How do you see the use, and can we use treaty law at a local level to help push back on some of this bullshit that's going on with data centers, so that we can actually make an impact in our current environments? And do you think that puts an unneeded target on tribal groups and our First Nations people? Or is there a way that we can do this without hurting the treaties, and that we should be enforcing but have never actually had the courage to do?
So first of all, I want to say that First Nations is used for folks in Canada.
Oh, okay.
Native American or Indigenous is the term that we use here in the United States.
Okay.
Just so you know.
I'm trying to learn across the board, because
for all of you,
appreciate you. Thank you.
All of you that are trying to learn across the board, everybody has a reading assignment to read the book, The Rediscovery of America by Ned Blackhawk. All of y'all, I got a thumbs up even. All y'all need to read The Rediscovery of America by Ned Blackhawk. You can listen to it. If you listen to it, you get the actual pronunciation of the words correctly.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much for that.
It is a beautiful book. And
okay,
so
awesome. Thank you.
My answer. Yeah, for sure. Everybody in the world needs to read that book. It is not up to us to decide how tribes will use tribal law. They are sovereign nations that that are get to make their own decisions about how they choose to use their sovereignty. So anytime any of us think about suggesting to a tribe how they should be asserting their tribal law, that's like France telling Germany what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really important for us in the United States to realize that, yes, the treaties have never been honored. It was one of the biggest reasons I was looking forward to being in Congress, is to see how we could get up to some shenanigans about honoring the treaties. And also, I think it's really important that we take this opportunity to ask questions of the tribes.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want? How can we help you? Right? But that's not up to us.
Yes.
That is up to whether or not tribes actually want that. And I think that is where we have to realize that there are 573 different tribal nations in this country. Not all of them are federally recognized. Not all of them are state recognized. But that is 573 tribal sovereign governments that we, when it comes to talking to tribes about data centers, it's not about asking them to use their sovereignty or their decision-making process to quote unquote help stop this. It's about asking what they think about the issue, right? And we have seen tribes responding. Like, there are tribes that are responding and saying, no, 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 right? You're not going to use our land for that. And so, and I think when it comes to issues of environmentalism, conservation, data centers, any of these things that are, forestry, our fisheries, our agriculture, asking, going back to thinking about how are we asking ourselves, how are we acting in the best interest of the planet and putting the planet first?
Nice.
That's the question. Because the planet doesn't need to be saved. We keep talking about saving the planet. She's saving herself just fine.
Yeah.
We just don't like what she's doing because we are the dinosaurs. And she's hot and she's tired. And this was a beautiful experiment. And I don't know how long it's going to take, but she is saving herself from us, the things we have done to her. And that's okay. Like the land, listen to the land. She's giving us some hints. And I think that when it comes to engaging with tribes and thinking about, we have to listen to what they're telling us. Like you, Nick, you live near a reservation. You drive through a reservation often. What is the tribe putting out on their social media? What are they saying publicly? What decisions are their tribal council making? And, how do we highlight that instead of exploiting that?
I have a question. The question is, because I was watching Yellowstone, okay, and I know that the tribes, they have their council, okay. So if you want to run, do you have to go to the council? Do they have to bless your candidacy and say, yeah, we support you, and so on and so forth?
That's not how that works. So
I was just curious.
Yeah. So when the correct thing to do is to talk to tribal councils to reach out to tribal councils and talk about wanting to develop a relationship with them. You won't hear back. You might not hear back. You may hear back from one or two. But the reach out is what's important, and the willingness to develop relationships is what's important. And that's for anything, but I think especially with the tribes, it's about introductions and letting people know who you are and why you're running, and whether or not they decide to reach back out is a different matter altogether.
Oh, Dr. Bird, I really appreciate this wonderful conversation. And I mean, there's just so much to learn, you know, and all different things. And it's just so important to have these dialogues, and you're so kind. And I mean, and a lot of times we're just kind of looking for any kind of, maybe we could do this, maybe we could do that. And then we inadvertently say something that's maybe a little bit, and it's not our intention to cause any offense. And so it's just nice to walk through these moments and say, and you're so good at it, where it's just like, let's take this energy that you have and let's redirect it a little bit. And this is the way to make it more effective. And that's what just happened here. So I just really love that.
Darling, we cannot afford to continue to be offended. I mean, we can't. We can't. We are people who and I think this is important. When people are doing their best, let them do their best.
You're so kind. Yes.
No, but I'm not fine. I'm like, this is pragmatic, right? I'm raising human beings. Like, I have these humans. I have this kid who's 15, almost 16, who my children came from my husband. They did not come of my body. And who I am raising a 6'4", blonde-haired, blue-eyed man. The way I teach him is by listening to the words he's using, so that I can help him understand his inherent privilege, and that some of the shit he says is dumb. I'm like, buddy, that is not the way the world works. You're listening to something that is not true. And I love you. And that's not the wisest thing you've ever said. And listen, we don't have time. The focus has to be on fighting authoritarianism. Not whether or not you all are using the right terms to describe one of the most complex, intentionally complex issues with Native people in this country. That's genocide. That's colonization. That's on purpose, right? Assuming that I know my tribal ceremonies because I am a descendant of the Shivwits Band of Southern Paiutes is colonization, because my dad committed suicide when I was 6. I didn't even talk to my grandma. I have no idea that I was even Southern Paiute until I was 17 years old. And then no one would talk to me about it. And so it wasn't until literally 2006 that I found everything out about my family. That is genocide. That is colonization. It isn't this abstract sort of, we're going to go in and, quote unquote, circle the wagons. Also, my daughter's, she's in a band, and they were getting ready to do her first show ever. And the guy, like the promoter guy, was like, come on, everyone, let's get around and do a powwow. And I looked at him. My daughter was so mad at me. I looked at him and I was like, where's the fry bread and the ribbon skirts? And he was like, he looked at me and I go, you can't use that term.
Good. Yes.
Come on. There's a million other, like, let's get together and have a chat. There's a million ways to say it. But powwow is not it, because powwow is an event and a celebration and all the things, the coming together of people, right? And so, like, but we don't have time to police each other's language. Like, what we are facing in this country is far bigger than whether or not you are using the right words. Like, come on. That's why we're at where we're at. Because we're so distracted by harping on people being perfect in their activism that we're not creating space for people to be active.
That's perfect. I read Loretta Ross wrote this book called Calling In, and that's the exact topic of that. And she quotes me in there a couple of times. I'm in there. I was so delighted and so honored for that. So, and I just really, because it's exactly what you said. We are all these tactics of division are upon us. They are so strong. And Nick and I always make it a point. When we make a mistake, just accountability and then move on. But it's like, in so many cases, something that's an innocent, you're well-meaning, but you say something that's the wrong thing. In so many cases, that's just the end of the relationship. It can't be.
Is it the wrong thing, or is it just the thing that you've always learned because you're trying to do better, right? Like, I talk about this. I have a new book called Leading from the Heart. And I talk about this in my book. Like, like intuitive leadership and leading from a space of community and connection and intuition is about listening to yourself, right? It's about getting out of your head and into your heart and saying, okay, how do I envision a future that is about listening and hearing what other people are saying? And if I am too busy policing language because I think you have ill intent, that takes me out of my heart and into my ego and my brain, and I am no longer paying attention.
Yes.
And that's how we transform leadership, is we that's how we transform movements, right? Like I used to teach my students, if we wouldn't have had Malcolm X, Martin Luther King would have been a complete and total radical. Totally radical. This whole concept of love and community and everything that Martin Luther King preached would have been so radical. We need different, we need different groups. I remember the ACT UP Fight AIDS folks, right? Like we need different groups and different bits of language, and we need them from mainstream to radical to change movements, to move things forward. And we have to remember, that I mean, I was fighting for gay marriage in 1999, right? That was 26 years ago.
Yes.
My oldest daughter is 24. She doesn't know a world where that was an issue, right? Like she doesn't know that that's a thing that I had to fight for. And so like my daughter, when she was 8 years old, I got to meet President Obama, and she said, "Thank him for the best 8 years of my life." And I laughed. I did tell him that, and he did his beautiful Obama laugh at my daughter's funny joke. But my children didn't know that there's a world without, my two youngest didn't know there was a world without a Black president. They had no idea. They weren't born into a world where that wasn't in existence forever. And so we have to remember that we are on this crazy timeline.
Yeah.
And this is our moment to stop and breathe and say, okay, what is the change I want to make in the world? And that's what, Walter, what you and Nick are doing on this podcast, right? Like you all are bringing people together to have conversations that are many varied. And that's important because that's how we get our voices out. That's how we tell stories. You are here to tell the stories. You are here to share the art. You are here to bring in people like me and Margaret who wouldn't otherwise even have a platform, right? Like that's what we're doing here. That's why I started my podcast, was to have complicated conversations about anything I wanted to, but mostly about spirituality and religion, because that's a really important conversation for me to be having, both as a pagan and a preacher, which, by the way, came up in my campaign. This is why the link I sent y'all to share on my Substack is my conversation about freedom of expression and religion, because I was attacked for my spiritual and religious beliefs.
Yes.
And what people didn't realize they were doing is that when they attack me, particularly on the pagan route, what they are doing is attacking my freedom of expression.
Yes.
And also my ancestral spiritual knowledge that I carry with me all the time. And so I think it's really important for people to realize that as we are moving forward and thinking about quote unquote diversity, we have to realize that and believe people when they tell you who they are. I'm an open book. People are so tripped out by it. They're like, they're so tripped out by it. They're like, what the heck? Like, you're everywhere online. And I'm like, that was on, that's my life. I'm not going to hide who you are. You got to make an informed decision. I'm not going to scrub myself. I am who I am. I've spent too long. Come on. Like growing up Native and queer in Utah, not Mormon. I spent too long hiding.
Oh, and it's so lovely. I'm just so happy to have you here. In this last couple of years too, and I keep saying that with Nick, it's like the silver lining of these last couple of years is and especially with these streaming, I've had so much of an opportunity to learn about so many different groups that I was empathetic towards, but I knew nothing about. And it's just so important to have these conversations, to allow ourselves a little space and grace, as we work through and we understand things and we get better, and just to recognize we are indoctrinated to respond with this kind of hostility. And that's why I was complimenting you on being kind, because it's like, this is how we overcome that division that's put in there, that we don't want to be divided. And it's like, if somebody just gently says what you said was inappropriate, and you say, that's not like some attack, that's, oh, thank you. We can say, thank you for educating me. And now we can move on together. It's not like the end of the world when somebody points out that you made a mistake or you said something that was
inappropriate.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even inappropriate. It's just words.
Well, there's a lot of different things people can say, but
yeah, there's some inappropriate shit people can say.
I mean, but that's not what just happened here. So
yes, I know. I was making a bigger point.
And I appreciate the correction and the way that I can move forward in it, and work on my language. And we didn't make it a big deal on like what was wrong. It was here's maybe a better way to say it. Here's the more correct way. Let's move forward. And also, maybe let's use this as another opportunity, because we got a great comment, and I want to make sure we point it out, is in a Christian country like US, it's hard to run as a pagan. We are not a Christian nation. We have never been a Christian nation. We never will be a Christian nation. We are a nation founded on the freedom of and from religion, meaning I get to practice or not practice religion if I choose to, and your private practice of religion does not get to influence my private practice of religion or non-religion. And there's a non-religion clause statement in there too. We're not a Christian nation. We never have been. We never will be. And we need to reforge that wall of separation so that we stop thinking that we even are a nation built on Christianity or a single religion, because that's the problem.
Yes,
exactly.
And I am a lay preacher in the Episcopal Church, so I am also a Christian. So I am Christian and a pagan, and that just really messes people up a lot.
Well, we can be both, because Christianity has consumed so much of paganism, what we consider paganism, which is just non-Christian religions that have become mythologized because they're not practiced in a worldwide dominating patriarchal sense, because we view things off of the lens of Christianity, which is on purpose because they are a power structure.
Well, and I want to really follow up. I think this is a really important comment, and I want to say a couple of things. First of all, the Declaration of Independence has a line in it about merciless Indian savages and how they need to be eliminated. But the word savage is derived from the word sauvage, which means of the trees. It's a French word meaning of the trees. Heathen means of the heather. Apocalypse means change and shift, right? So these words we use to describe non-Christian people or pagans are actually words that are defined by the surrounding, the actual earth itself, the land. And I also think it's really important to understand, and this is why I wrote that piece that I wrote, that also, and I really want people to think about this.
Linked in the QR code above Margaret on the left side for everybody.
Thank you. I think that also, as we are talking about this, also thinking about how I was actually asked to be willing to set aside my religious and spiritual beliefs to serve in Congress. Like, a group asked me to do that. And what people don't understand is that this is woven into the very fabric of my being. This is my soul. What my religious and spiritual journey is my life. It is who I have become as this beautiful, inspiring, glorious, joyful human being. And again, I think this is that pendulum swing, Walter, that you were talking about earlier. Like we are so afraid of Christian nationalism. That what we are doing is insisting that people who call themselves Christian
Yes.
completely separate themselves from that faith, and that can't be done. And I know this because I didn't grow up Christian, right? I didn't even start going to church until about 8 or 9 years ago. Wow, time flies. But what I want people to understand is that I was joking on the campaign trail that I wanted to take my coffee mug with Jesus's face on it that says that's not what I meant, and go to the congressional prayer breakfast, which I'm looking forward to doing Public Affairs Trust. But like, we also have to, like, Christians also are as varied as we are as human beings. There is a spectrum, and one of my proudest things I've ever done in my life is that I used to have live unscripted conversations with my friend Amy on Facebook, who is a deeply devout and conservative Christian. And you can actually find them on my YouTube channel. If you go to drmelissabird.com, you can find my YouTube channel, and they're on there. And Amy and I would have unscripted conversations about everything.
Nice.
LGBT issues, guns, abortion, education, like everything. And what happened is that Amy and I have become such good friends because we refuse to attack each other, right? We refused to attack each other, and instead we listened to each other, and it became profound for both of us.
I just want to say too, it's the person who left a comment, and it's just like, that's an example of media capture too, where so many people have these, that's another assumption, where people find themselves repeating something that gets repeated so often in the media. And this is why we need to do something to just escape from this media capture, where we can elevate rational, reasonable conversations. We can get away from all this indoctrination, which is really what it is when they start in. It's always been this, and it's like, it hasn't. It literally, and people are afraid to make that challenge, and a lot of it is because so often, especially when you're dealing with authoritarians, they insist that everything that they say must be taken with no proof. And then if you do ask just a follow-up question, they respond either with just hostility or even violence. And so a lot of the reaction comes from things like that. We've all been indoctrinated, living underneath this kind of abusive regime. We've all adopted these kind of survival characteristics that are going to end up being the end of us. Because as Melissa was saying before, we have to stand up now. It's like the world is telling us it doesn't want us here anymore, on top of all the other things that are going on. There's a lot we have to fix, a lot of programming we have to undo.
Mm-hmm. And that is decolonization, right? Like, we talk about these things in this academic sort of a way, but what we don't realize is that the things that we are playing with right now and exploring right now and grappling with right now, those are all the actions of dismantling the doctrine of discovery, which was the papal bull that said, when you go to new lands, just kill all the people that are there, murder, rape, and pillage in the name of the church. And then you have manifest destiny, which is how we did the westward expansion in the United States, right? Like how we just moved in and just killed everyone along the way because it was in the name of manifest destiny, right? Like, all of these things that we're exploring, we're doing so that we can build a democracy. Like, the cracks are where the light gets in, right? Yes. So as our democracy is crumbling, just acknowledging that this crumbling of our democracy, it's not bad. It means we get to reimagine a democracy that's not built on the backs of owning human beings and murdering people. Like, we get to imagine a democracy that is actually of the people, by the people, for the people, and not just for the special people.
Yeah.
Or for the people it benefits the most.
And we can acknowledge, like, the horrendous shit we've done in our past, like, as a nation. It's okay to admit that manifest destiny was bad. That
horrifyingly bad.
Horrifyingly bad. Like, it's okay to, it's also time to admit, and you talk about, you maybe have a lot of experience that others might not because of where you used to live, is the horrors of Mormonism. And how they, when they founded as a church, committed genocide. Like, their whole goal was to murder Native people across the country until they found a home, until they found Zion. And they did.
Stop when they got there, because that's how my great-great-grandmother and my great-great-grandfather died.
Yeah, and they like the history of the beginnings of the Mormon Church, which is something that we don't ever talk about in this nation. We don't ever want to talk about the Mormon Church. Nobody wants to talk about it, and how damaging it was when it expanded westward, and it was built by a fraudster who was a pedophile and had multiple wives. And it sounds a lot like someone who we know currently sitting in the top of our government, like almost to the T.
Yeah.
Joseph Smith was Donald Trump, and
Woo!
his expansion westward caused the genocide of the native population in this country. Like, it wasn't the only reason for the genocide, but it was a big one.
Yep.
And we never talk about it. We don't ever talk about the Mormon Church, or the fact that it was 30 years ago, maybe 20, 30 years ago, that they finally let Black people into the church in a meaningful way. Like
1977.
Okay, so 50 years ago now, which still 200, the church has been around for long enough that's too long.
Yes.
And like, it's a, like, we have a, it's, so could you talk, like, how is that as an influence? You grew up in Utah, you experienced Utah, and I think I want to have you back, because I'd love to have
oh my goodness,
multiple more conversations on this. My wife and I are huge into learning about Mormonism, and like her family she was raised Mormon, and like we know, or she has Mormonism in her family, so we know about it a little bit. But it's always been really interesting because it's the most culty of the religions in like my eyes, and it's very American because America is very culty in a lot of ways, and we're a nation founded on cults, and Mormonism just happens to be one of them. It's like, what, like
the Mormon Stories podcast?
Oh my God, I love Mormon Stories.
Oh my God, me too.
One of the best. One of the best. Like they inspired so much of like my drive to want to know more about all of this. So like, how has that influenced you in like your views of just like yourself and this growth towards of like discovery of like paganism and then Christianity, and both at the same time? Like, how is that like influenced like your growth and like acknowledging these types of events?
Wow, that's a loaded question, friend.
I know. I like loaded questions.
I mentioned my dad committed suicide when I was 6. That was 1980.
Yeah.
So my mother was adopted as an infant, and in her adoption, they insisted that she was in San Francisco, so I think that's really interesting. But they insisted she be raised Mormon. It turns out that my great grandmother, her grandmother, actually converted to the Mormon Church right before her daughter, who was a teenage mom, which is why my mom was put up for adoption. It was 1949, so that's what we did with teen moms. Her mother had converted. So my grandparents are from Brigham City, Utah, and they were not active LDS. They were raised LDS, but they were not active LDS. But they raised my mom LDS. And my mom and my dad met in high school at East High in Salt Lake City, Utah. And I'm getting to the reason how the Mormon Church impacted me. So go on a storytelling journey with me for a moment. So my mother was in Pep Club, and my dad was 6'4" and played football. And they had to make a cake for the football players. My mother had never met my dad before, and she didn't care because she was like, whatever, this is dumb. And so her cake fell apart, and she put it together with toothpicks. And my mom's like 5'4", 5'5" on a good day. And so she takes this broken cake to my dad's house and knocks on the door. And she said, I'm standing there holding this broken cake, and this Adonis, I'm having to look up at this Adonis standing before me, and I realized that he was going to eat these toothpicks, and I had to tell him that it was put together with all these toothpicks. Anyway, they fell in love. They got married in the temple, which was not something my mother wanted to do, and she's told that story several times She's writing a book about it, actually, because she didn't want to get married in the temple because she knew that her parents couldn't be there on the day of her wedding. And it was devastating to my mom. And my mother, and then, they go to church. She's a Mormon housewife. My dad commits suicide in 1980. We were not talking about mental health. We were not talking about any of these things. His father is a horribly abusive man. I'm not going to get into that on this show, but needless to say, none of us escaped him. I will put it that way. None of us escaped my grandfather. And my grandmother is Native. And she was angry. My grandma was angry. And it's this legacy of, anyway, I'm going to digress for a minute. But anyway, so my dad dies. The church rejects my mother because it's 1980. Committing suicide has always been stigmatized. I can't even believe we're still not having a conversation about how we haven't stopped this yet. Like, what are we doing, people? And I was 6, and my mother was rejected by the church, and her heart got broken in 100. My dad broke my mother's heart in 1,000,000 pieces. She went on her own journey, which is another podcast for another day, and with addiction. And, I was left flailing, but the only way you could have friends in Utah was to be Mormon. And so I went to church. And let me tell y'all, growing up in the 80s as a brown kid, I got browner and browner in the summer, but I didn't know who I was. My friends and I used to be like, am I Ute? Am I Navajo? Like, who am I? Like, we knew, but I had white blonde hair when I was a little kid. My hair didn't turn dark until I was in my 20s. And so, like, it was so confusing because I also couldn't talk about my dad. So I couldn't ask who my dad was. My mother, it was banished. I could not speak of my father after he died. I didn't start talking to my mom about my dad until, like, really openly, until maybe 10 years ago. Maybe. My mother refused to speak of him. And it was with any intention, just incredibly traumatizing. So I go to church, and my horrible, awful, evil grandfather baptized me. And my mom didn't want me to get baptized. My mom was like adamant about me not getting baptized. And I was like, it's the only way I'm going to have friends. And it was the only way I was going to have friends. And I wish I wouldn't have done it. It was horrible. But I remained in conflict about spirituality and religion all the way until I found the Episcopal Church when we moved to Corvallis in 2017. So to say that was a long, traumatic, horrible thing, to say I experienced abuse. My grandfather was in the bishopric, and there are horrible stories I will not get into, but it was bad, right? And so in my world, especially as an openly bisexual, like when I worked for Planned Parenthood, I was married to a woman, right? Like I was with women for 12 years in Utah. I came out in 1999, like to be out and to also not be able to talk about who I am as a Native person, and to be this human being, this feminist wandering around in the world trying to talk about birth control and abortion while I'm also talking about gay marriage and not being fired from my job. I was fired from my job because I was out openly. I worked for the Utah Foster Care Foundation, and they fired me because I was gay. And like there was nothing I could do about that, right? And so I have been walking this world in this liminal space for my whole life. And I thought I absorbed that there was something wrong with me my whole life. Too white to be Native, too Native to be white. I'm very openly bisexual and have been for, since I came, for 26 years, 27 years. And I have been fighting that fight my whole adulthood without ever quite knowing who I was, and with absorbing this culture of the LDS church that said I was wrong, I was bad, that I was not loved by God, that God would never love somebody like me, which I know is not true. Because the creator that I have learned of, not just from going to church, but also from really understanding who I am as a native, that creator, I am of this planet, and I am love, and I am loved, and it devastated me. But I'll tell you the biggest, I will say, I learned 2 things from the church: to always volunteer, and to do unto others as they would have done to you. Now, the church doesn't always follow the golden rule. Very rarely does it follow the golden rule. But I learned those things from the time when I was a little girl. And I have always been of service to my community. And I have always tried my darndest to love my neighbor as myself, always, even when I didn't understand what that meant. So I learned those things. I will also say, in a strange turn of events, Nick, which I think you will appreciate with your understanding of Mormon history. Are you familiar with the Mormon Meadows Massacre?
I've heard of it, but I'm not
Most
overly
violent
familiar.
massacre perpetrated by the Mormon pioneers. It happened in southern Utah. They blamed the Shivwitz band of Southern Paiutes, my band that I descend from. The Mormon pioneers dressed up as our people, put mud on their faces, and completely murdered an entire Protestant band of pioneers, men, women, children, elders, everybody. They murdered them all and blamed it on our band. And the irony, Nick, I think you're going to appreciate this. The irony is my very best friend in the world, Kristen, who I've been friends with. Our parents, our moms went to junior high and high school together at East High. Her great-grandfather, Christy's great-grandfather, was 15 or 16, and he was forced to participate in the Mountain Meadows Massacre as one of those Mormon pioneers. Wow. And she and I think the reason we came together in this world is to do that healing, that ancestral healing, because it messed her great grandpa up so much that he never really fully recovered from having to participate in that horrible massacre. And so Chrissy and I think that the reason we came together is to do that ancestral healing. So
I think that's beautiful. if I'm not religious, I am spiritual. I'm a humanist. I don't like, I'm agnostic at best. Like, I don't care because it doesn't affect me. Like, when I'm dead, I don't care. And if there is a God at the end, thumbs up on that. If there is a God at the end, I hope they think I did good for the work that I did here on the planet while I was here without caring about a reward or a punishment. And part of that is offering healing and not passing on generational traumas or helping grow. And I love your story. I love
beautiful. That was beautiful.
Where you've come from, and I love that idea that you've come together, because that, like, from a non-spiritual but even in a spiritual way, like the idea of string theory where we're all tied together, and that those strings eventually re-intersect with each other is really important. And I think we're at a point to heal. Like, we could actually heal right now. Like, we could heal the wrongs of patriarchy, of Christian nationalism, of whatever white supremacy that caused the Mormon Church and the fraud and anything else that caused the genocide of the native population of the U.S., like of North America. Like, we caused these things, and we can reconcile with it finally and move forward and heal. And now we know, so we can grow. Like, that's something we say here for a reason. Maybe we can use this as the seeds to grow and like actually do something.
Margaret only has a few minutes left, so I wanted to make sure Margaret gets some time to talk.
Oh yeah, Margaret, you've been quiet and so happy looking over there.
I am happy. I am happy. I'm at peace. You have no idea. Okay. All right, and that's priceless. And I want to thank Melissa. We had a conversation, and she touched me, okay, and gave me some really really good advice. And I want to thank you for that.
Oh,
And
you're
we have so much in common. You have no idea. And you have been a blessing to me. And I wish all the best for you in your future campaigns. And I know you're gonna win. You're already a winner, okay? And remember that.
I think that, thank you, Margaret. Thank you so much. And it was fun to meet with you. I you know, the most incredible thing, if we allow it to be, is that when people run for office, they're putting no matter their motivation, they're putting themselves out there, right? And it's only been in my lifetime, really. I started voting in 92. That's when I turned 18. And it's only been in really my voting lifetime that we have transitioned into this place where we have these professional politicians and we have these high expectations of who they are, and we don't realize that all this professional politicking is actually a result of Citizens United, right? Like, it's the thing that ushered in these corporations wanting more and more power over our politicians to be able to get what they wanted politically. And that has happened in my lifetime, my voting lifetime, which means we have the opportunity to break it down again. We have the opportunity to push our politicians at every level of government to engage in the policy making of finally dismantling Citizens United, right? Like, we have an opportunity. We don't have to wait for the perfect people to get into the federal government to disrupt this. We have an opportunity to insist that our state and local elected officials engage in really solid campaign finance reform, because this idea that we think that politicians have to have all this experience, and I say this repeatedly, particularly about the House of Representatives, whether it's on the federal level or the state level, that is the House of the people. It's a 2-year term for a reason. It's a 2-year term because it is meant to turn over so that people are constantly being represented. That means we need to insist on electing officials who are willing to term themselves out, who are willing to get in there and do the work that needs to be done. You know, this idea of junior elected officials and senior elected officials, like, who has the power, that is not how it's supposed to be. And so people are like, well, you're going to get in there and you're not going to have any experience. And they're going to, you know, like, people were asking me on the campaign trails what committees I wanted to sit on. And I was like, y'all, I'm just trying to get through a primary. Can we not be so far forward in the future that we're trying to predict what committee I'm going to be sitting on? And then I was forced into thinking about it.
Yeah.
Like, yo, can we just get back to, I had people being like, where are you going to live in DC? And I was like, I got to get myself a 50,000 votes here, people. Like, that's the count.
Yeah.
The count is 50,000 plus one. I'm not thinking about where the hell I'm going to be living in DC. I have to get through the primary. And that's the other thing that I love about having these conversations and talking to y'all, because we got to be present to the right now. What do we have right in front of us right now? What is happening today in our lives? Because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I have no idea what's happening tomorrow. And if I learned anything on this campaign, it's that, or if I've learned anything probably in the last year of my life, one day at a time is no joke. It's not just for recovery, right? Like, one day at a time. I didn't know how this conversation was going to go. Y'all are like, throw us some kid art and like give us some links. I'm like, oh, okay. I'll throw some links, right? Like, thank God I love my kids' art, so that's handy. But like, let's just be here. What do we have right in front of us right now this week? Well, what we have in front of us this week is this series of opportunities to engage with asking the people who are running for office, especially because y'all have a couple of primaries coming up, right? That aren't even, primary season is all summer. So
Yes.
So what are we going to do this summer to ask questions of the people that are running? Look at Jeremy Whalen's race in Massachusetts. Look at,
I've talked to him. He's great.
oh God, I love him. Paige Loud, who's running for Congress in Maine, is another social worker. She grew up in poverty. She is incredible. And she is running against these multimillionaires who think they need to win. And you know, to win, Paige. And I hope she does. Her race is really important to Mainers. And there's another social worker, Jillian, who's running, I think in Pennsylvania, maybe North Carolina. Crap, I'm going to get that wrong and she's going to kill me. We've got she's a social worker and she's running, right? Like, so we have all these incredible races throughout California. Like, we have a lot going on right now. And so I want to, as we're closing this up, like, I really want to encourage people to pay attention and ask the questions of the people running for office. Don't miss this opportunity to start to push on your local and state elected officials, not just the federal level, but push on these people who are running for office right now as we're leading up to the general. And don't wait until October 15th to be like, oh shit, we got a race coming up, I guess I better pay attention. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Ask the questions. Make an informed decision, because this is the moment where we don't just buy into this all or nothing binary thinking, us versus them mentality. Do we need to make the House and Senate Democratic? Sure. But what I am seeing is that those Democrats, if we aren't electing different Democrats into those houses, we're just going to get more of the same.
Right. Right.
Pay attention to the primary. The primary is the power.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yes.
You flip the seat and you flip the seat, you get a more Democratic Congress in November. Sure. But like, pay attention to what's happening right now. I don't know what's going to happen the rest of my day. I didn't even know my husband was getting off. He worked in the fisheries and he got a boat off his boat and he's like, I'm on my way home. And I was like, what the heck? I thought you were coming off tomorrow. That's crazy. Like, I don't know what's happening.
Enjoy it. Yeah.
Right. Enjoy your life. Enjoy your day. Bye, Margaret. I love your.
Margaret has to go. Thank you so much, Margaret. I love you. I love you, Margaret.
Margaret, thank you so much. Can you promote yourself real quick before you disappear?
Yeah, the Empowered Leader publication. Okay. I love you all and thank you so much for your support.
Love you, Mama.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Margaret. We'll have you back soon.
All right, thanks. All right, bye-bye. Bye.
All right, Melissa, before we wrap up and as we lose Margaret or here for the last little bit, did you send a piece of artwork over to someone that I can share? Walter, did you get it?
I sent 3 to you and to Walter.
I think it was to both of us. It should be. Yeah, it was an email.
Oh, it was an email. Ooh,
I'm such a
fancy.
brat. I have 3 children.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of a brat and sharing all 3 of their little bits of art.
And while you look for that, I just want some of the things you said. I just love you, Melissa. I mean, I just want you to know that. And it's just that feeling of I don't belong. That's something I felt. And I've been coming to this conclusion in the United States, our tradition, we're so cruel to children. It's just cruelty to children. Like children don't get to be recognized as people until they're 15 or 18. And I think everybody carries this fundamental trauma from that time of being a non-person. And I was talking about with my wife, I made that deliberate choice when I was raising my kids. I'm not going to do what everybody pressures me to do. I'm going to raise my kids like they're people from day one. And it changes your kids. And we never had the problem, like the behavioral problems we see with other families, that everybody warned me, you're going to have these problems. It's like, I'm not, because I treat them like they're people. And I think they're empowered now to face the world because they know they're entitled to certain treatments. Whereas like I still resist. And a lot of the things you've talked about, like, I feel like a lot of these services aren't for me because I'm still in that non-person kind of thing. And it's like running for office isn't for me because I still have that non-person thing in the back of my head. And I think that's all the hostility that's in this society is people are afraid of having their personhood revoked. So I understand the things that you were saying. I think it was really beautiful. And I'm working hard to figure out ways to open up other people's eyes. So just give them permission to treat their kids like they're people, and I think that's a big first step.
Well, and I think this idea of our kids as people, like one of the things I really realized as I took on these 3 children, Sean was 1, Gwen was 4, and Katie was 9, right? And I made the intentional choice to stay with their dad. And Jim and I had a big conversation, and he was like, you can't ever leave. And I was like, well, okay, I guess I'm doing this next, right? Like jumping into the deep end. My best gay, Matthew, reminded me when I was like crying about the election and just feeling very isolated and kind of that emotional hangover. He's like, you kind of jump into these big things and do big things, and it's big, and you did that with your kids, and I did. And so, but I had this moment where I realized that the way I discipline Caitlin is not the way I discipline Gwen, and it's not the way I discipline Sean, because they're individual human beings. But it doesn't work. Although I will say the get along shirt is the greatest invention ever. Get a giant XXXL shirt and write shirt, and then put both your kids in it when they're arguing. And boy, howdy, does that shifts everything. I love the get along shirt. Notes for parents. But what I realized is that Katie really responds when I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Like, and my voice gets very stern. And then Gwen needs very tender, loving, nurturing, like discipline, right? Otherwise she like freezes up, right? And then Sean is just like, play it to me straight, Mom. Like, what have I done wrong? I think it's the Virgo. But like like we are all, if we are recognizing our autonomy all of a sudden when we're adults, and we're like, I want to be treated like my own individual person. That means all 3 of my kids are also individual humans being. We are humans being.
Yes.
We are not human beings. We are human. And if we can just remember that about our young people, and people are shocked to find out that kids don't have rights. I'm not, because I work in child welfare. So I understand that that's true. Right. And so I just want to thank y'all for bringing me on and letting me have this conversation. And it's just been a real balm to my soul.
Good.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Next,
a lot. While all of this has been going on, what I've been doing is quietly making sure that I update our PowerPoint slide, because Ms. Melissa, you weren't here for the beginning part. Is we do like to share artwork, and I'm going to skip ahead real quick. Hold on, give me 1 second. We're going to replace this presentation with the new presentation, which is going to start on the same note. You guys won't see too much different here on the other side, but we like to celebrate. We like to celebrate some artwork here because it's fun and it's beautiful, and we get to do it. And why not? And so my daughter is a budding artist and has been since she was little. And this one I looked at the other day. She showed it to me, and I was really impressed with it. And then I looked closer at it, and I was like, wow, the shading on this is so good. And you have done so much to improve like what you do with your shading. And I thought it was beautiful how like creative she's getting, and how just detailed her work is becoming. And it's really neat to see her progression, and she's sort of just exploding into it right now in such a cool way. And I love seeing my daughter explode like this, and the best. And I get to come back at the end of the shows and be like, hey, I showed this one off of yours today. And she always asks about it. And she's like, what did people think of the piece? Which one did you show today? And I love getting her to see her, just the joy on her face when she hears about it. So hopefully everyone, you guys like this one today. I think it's rad too, Jason. Thank you. I did get your message. We'll put yours up on next episode. We have quite a bit of art, actually. We only had 2 pieces in the beginning, and then I remembered I owed somebody who is here today, survivors. You sent me a piece too, or 2 pieces that are going to get put up here in just a second, so don't worry. So this one I love, and this is a great way to close out our day, is to get to show off some artwork.
Tell us the backstory of this character. I mean, there's obviously a backstory there.
There is. It's from a video game. It's from a game she really likes. She likes taking the like little, they're almost like it's one of those like dress up style games where you
Okay. You can create
get
an
to put
avatar.
you get to create the different avatars and stuff like that, and they're all the little like cute little like mini character, almost like Funko Pop head style characters, and she likes to turn them into anime, like full on anime characters. And it's really fun to see the like where it starts and what she's turning them into.
Nice.
I love it. I think it's a lot of fun. And the arm is cool.
Gorgeous. I love it.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I'm just a fan of this one. This one makes me happy. And she's working on animations and other stuff, which is so far beyond anything I was ever able to do with drawing and art. And it's so cool to see her just blossoming into this amazing little artist.
That's great.
And I'm proud of her. I'm just proud of her. Next, Walter, my friend.
This is my youngest. Melissa, I'm gonna have to send you the article. I did this where she and I went to Daddy Daughter Paint Day, and we didn't paint what we were supposed to paint. They had like a paint by numbers thing, and we are just like, we're just gonna paint. I painted this rhinoceros. My daughter painted this lion. So I have this whole story about that. But my youngest, she likes to work with paintbrushes and paint, and my eldest likes to work with sketches. So it's sort of like when you're talking about the get along shirt. My kids kind of self-regulate where they don't directly compete with each other. They kind of pick up complementary talents. That's something that they do that's fun. So my youngest did this a couple years ago for the fair. One of our friends dropped it off, but then we'd gone down to Peru, so that she had to go in and like to defend it to the judges, like the grandma did. So it was just kind of a fun thing. But I like this picture. Beautiful. I've been sharing it when people get tired of seeing AI art.
It's so pretty.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, let's see the next
one. I love it. Next, we have a fan submission from our friend Survivor Story in the audience. This is 2 pieces of art together.
Oh, nice. Those are great. I love
and let me read. There's freehand from Survivor's daughter or child. Let's say child is 2 pieces that they drew, and exceptional art was what Survivor sent me in her eyes, and I would absolutely agree. Exceptional art, like the hair coloring in that young lady on the right image with the big boots and the skirt, like the colors and the color pops in that are absolutely exceptional. Like that's so beautiful.
Yeah, I love the again, like in that sketch, the black and white sketch, I used to wear my hair with my hair half over my eyes and throw my mother nuts, but like I love that she's like looking at something and you can't really tell if she's like the intensity of it, like if she's hopeful or pissed off or like there's sort of big emotion there. Like she's like, it's almost like she's wondering like what's up next. I really very powerful. I'm so impressed with young people's art these days.
Yes.
Yeah, kids these days, y'all are talented.
They're like, screw AI, look at what I can do.
This AI garbage, I can do it better.
My kids spend so much time on the tutorials, and the tutorials are actually a good use of technology where you can see other artists, and hopefully that's what we're trying to bring to this too, a little bit of inspiration.
Oh, and we'll have to introduce you to Hallie Claire Weems.
Oh man,
if you have not seen her stuff, her work, she's on Substack here. Holy crap!
You could teach Rembrandt a few things.
Wow!
Wow! Really. I'd love to be introduced to that.
All right, and Melissa, we have some pieces from you.
This was I'm slightly obsessed with Mary, as you can see. My youngest, my 15-year-old, drew that for me for Mother's Day. It's the mother.
Beautiful. I love it.
I love it. It's beautiful. I love this shit. I love it. I love the simplicity of it. And the flower right on the left side is really pretty. Right next to her head, behind her is really beautiful.
Yeah, she did a nice job. I cried.
That's a win. That's a good
Tears of
gift.
joy are the best tears.
Yes, that's the gift.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then we have another set of submissions from you, Melissa, too.
Oh, wow.
So that metal flower, my daughter, my middle daughter, is actually a welder, and she's actually going to school for welding. She's a phenomenal artist, and so she welded me. She put that flower together for me for Mother's Day. And then my daughter Caitlin, my oldest daughter, drew me this angel for Christmas last year, and I just think it's just stunning. Like, you know, she just is so that my kids are so artistic. I think it is just like when they feel like they don't have anything to do, they don't get on their phone and play, or, they do play games and they do get on their phone. But sometimes I will come downstairs and they've got the whole dining room table just covered in craft supplies and art supplies. It's so cool.
Good.
I think it's phenomenal, the creativity of our young people, and I'm just so proud of and in fact, behind that flower, there's you can see sort of a glass mosaic. My daughter Gwen also did that, and then the blue painting that I didn't get in the shot is actually a collaboration of all of 3 of our kids did a collaboration together of a painting. So
I love you have so many of them so readily available. And what I always like about the kids' art is it just it gives us their perspective on things, because there's so much. I had my kids do a picture of our house. I'm like, just draw the house. And I just wanted them to see. And they were like, they made our house. It looks like it was dancing. It looks like it's got a big smile. I'm like, great. That tells me about what we did as a family, is how you was represented in this. And so much of their feelings come out in their pictures. And they're so pure. And it's neat having that insight into their minds.
It really is. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for sharing these with us. Thank you for sharing these 3 with us. These are wonderful. And this is such a great way to close out our show and start actually start the rest of your day, is to get a little bit of fun artwork for yourself, but also good conversation and a good way to learn. I had such a great time, and I cannot wait to have you back. Thank you so much for coming on with us and being a part of this. Holy crap, I have so many questions. I have so many more questions and follow-up that I want to have with you. Like, what a great way to start the day.
Well, Nick, you can just call me anytime. We can talk for hours.
Okay, fantastic. I love this. I only promise to do it on video, though, like this, so that everybody can hear these conversations, because I love having these types of discussions. Like,
we need it.
I always think about it as like the best discussions we always have are the ones that we never show on screen, and but these ones have been so just impactful. And thank you for the book suggestion today. Thank you for the just wonderful discussion. I have a candidate in Oklahoma that I want to figure out how to get you introduced to, Eric Turwey, running for Oklahoma CD2. He covers a lot of, or a large chunk that has a part of the Cherokee Nation in it. And I've gotten to speak with him, and he's incredible on what can we do as the nation that is supposed to be upholding the treaties to actually do our part without doing or forcing the native or the tribes to do their part, without influencing their side. How do we do our side? And I thought that was really amazing, and I think it would fit really well into the conversation we had with you today. So I want to see if I'll organize that for us to get us all in touch, because I think that would be wonderful. And while we're doing that, is how can people support you and promote you and find your work? How can people find what you're doing and continue to follow what you're doing?
Well, obviously you can follow me on Substack. I was on Substack before Substack was cool, y'all. Like, and right now, because I've launched my new book here, I have a copy of it right here. My new book has just come out, and right now, here it is.
Nice.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
It also has my favorite picture of me on the back. delightful.
Nice.
It's a nice little beautiful book. Because my book has just come out, if people subscribe to my Substack for my annual subscription, they get a paperback copy of the book signed by me to them.
Nice.
And then also 30-minute session with me. So for people before the end of May. So that goes all the way till May 31st. So if people become an annual subscriber, that's what they get for the month of May. Yay! Also, please follow me on social media, not just Melissa Bird for Congress, but also Bird Girl 1001. That's where I do. Where I do a lot of my work, my actual work. I also am very excited that I'm going to be launching a couple of new talks, and also I am opening back up my books to be the celebrant for weddings and also for funerals. So if anybody has a wedding in Oregon that you want me to officiate, I am actually able to do that. And also, I actually. I'm always so honored to officiate funerals because those are really difficult spaces for people, especially if they're not religious, but they want to have someone officiate a funeral. And I've done a couple of them locally. So if anybody also, I know that's a weird thing to say, but I think it's really important to have someone who can hold space for those things. So I'm opening back up my calendar for that too. So
I think that's wonderful. I think that's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Again, this has been so wonderful and so much fun.
I will come back anytime. Nick.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. I'm so excited. You will hear from me soon. We will be having you back. There's a couple. I think you could have an incredible discussion too with me on the Intelligent Masculinity, Better Humaning series that I do. And I think you would be a wonderful talk to theirs. And you said you have you're married to a veteran and someone who's disabled, and I'm a disabled veteran myself, and that's a big community issue that I discuss a lot and area that I talk about a lot. So I just want to say I am so excited to talk to you. And so,
Nick, we can go off on that.
Oh, I bet.
Especially as a spouse and a social worker. I have many things to say about that.
So excited. So excited. Thank you. And also come subscribe and support our friend Margaret Williams, the Empowered Leader. She's amazing. She does fantastic work. I love Margaret and the energy she brings to all of the shows, even if she's quiet. Like somebody said it in the chat, was even when she's quiet, her energy is just the most resoundingly amazing thing. Like you can feel it through the screen. Please go support Margaret because she is so amazing and fantastic. Walter, what about you, my friend?
Oh, this has been a lovely, lovely talk. And again, it's just my privilege to be with both of you, Dr. Bird. This is the second time we've talked, and I keep following you on social media. I was doing my part. I was trying to share everything that you put out and get the world to see it. And I have to be honest. I mean, this weekend, I had a good time with my family. I built a planter for my daughter, and we did we played Ultimate Frisbee. And even so, I came into this just feeling really tired and sad today. I feel more energized now, but I'm going to make a little bit of a pivot because I'm going to be helping Emily Berge's campaign. I've realized I need to put my phone down and I need to get out and be talking exactly as you're saying, Dr. Bird. So I'll be coming and doing these talks, but still I got to get out there more. And I just want everybody to know this is the beginning. We keep going onward. There's always another election. I wanted whatever the next seat is to come up. I hope, Dr. Bird, I hope you run for whatever it is. Get a seat somewhere. And you've got the name recognition now. And we have to work together and build our platforms because our whole, the legacy media, you're never going to get a talk like this. You're only going to get the one thing where they program you with the way things always done, which doesn't work. We're here with respect, trying out new ideas, taking a diverse perspective, overcoming our little misunderstandings of each other, and then going forward as more empowered, more supportive people. So that's the objective. That's why we would love to have more people come and help support us, help lift this movement, because we do have to win back the media. It's unfair that good points of view are not represented in the media. So we have to change that. Come and support me if you can. Everything's free. If you can become a paid supporter, that's a super big help. And I just love this. I love that we had this wonderful talk today.
Me too.
Thanks, Walter. I'm glad we did too. And finally, come support me here at Sick of This Shit Publications, where we do these discussions, where we have talks on masculinity and better humaning, and we focus on chronic illness discussion and just our experiences and living and getting our voices out there from our perspectives, from my perspective, from folks in the community. And again, thank you, everyone. Your support, either free or paid, whichever way you can do it, is invaluable to me and to Walter and to Melissa and to Margaret. That's all we ask, and then get involved. And then whatever that next step is, this is just getting your foot in the door. The next step is you walk through the door and you get involved and you go do the things. And I'm excited to be a part of all of this community. I'm excited to see where we're all growing together and how we can support each other, because it's collaboration over competition, and we're going to get there.
Yep.
And to close out the show, and as we always say, and we're going to get there in the end, because we are. As the dog bells go off, like, screw this. They're like, yes, we are into this. Because we're done being sick of this shit. We're done.
Yeah, my dogs are barking because they heard your dog.
Yes. Now we have a dog. We're going to get all the dogs going in everywhere.
In the whole world.
The whole world is going to say this with us, is we're done being sick of this shit, friends. So now we're doing this shit. So let's go have a great day. Go do something. Go be active. Thanks, Melissa. Thanks, Walter.
Thank you.
Thanks, Margaret. And thanks, everyone else. We will be back next week for another Notes of the Week. See y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.